So this upcoming NBA season, it's going to look a little bit different. 50-plus players. They're going to be donning new threads this upcoming season. Headlined, of course, you know his name. It's Kevin Durant. He's moving to Houston in that move that really could shake up the entire Western Conference. But that doesn't mean there aren't more deals that could be coming down the pipeline. Remember, Russell Westbrook, Al Horford. We're still watching them along with Jonathan Kuminga, Quentin Grimes. Just a few notable names that have yet to put pen to paper on that new contract. Now, the domino that may actually be holding up the final stage of all of these moves, it may be restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. So let's bring in our NBA reporter Anthony Slater, who is going to be covering all things Golden State Warriors for us. Can you just set the stage here, Anthony? Where do things stand between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors? I feel like I've been asking this question for the last couple of months.
Yeah, it has overtaken my last few months also. There's been renewed efforts, genuine efforts this week to try to get it over the finish line. I think the Josh Giddey contract, 4 years, $100 million, provided a little bit of extra motivation for the talks. But, you know, Josh Giddey, I don't think there's a misalignment between the Warriors and Kuminga side that Giddey's per year, which is around $25 million, is somewhat near what Kuminga should be. I mean, me and Shams have reported the standing 1-1 offer for $45 million that starts at 21.7. But the big difference between the two situations is Giddey signed 4 years, no team options either way. He's signing on to the Bulls to be their starting point guard of the future. That's what the Bulls want. We know the Kuminga situation doesn't have nearly the structure or relationship, backbone where the Warriors are trying to, get him on this very team-friendly deal. And Kuminga's clearly knowing he's not like Josh Giddey walking into a, guaranteed starting job. So that is what continues month after month now to halt this thing up. And, I think the public is looking at the Warriors going, hey, you still have 9 players on the roster, so the veterans must be freaking out behind the scenes. They're not. They've had communication with Mike Dunleavy. They know what the roster is going to look like. They know the dominoes that are going to fall. They're not in the dark about that. But I think they're wondering about Jonathan Kuminga's buy-in if he comes back on the qualifying offer. And their curiosity is, can this thing get done where Jonathan Kuminga can come back and be a part of this team, really without an agenda trying to push forward.
Right, and not really knowing exactly what his role is going to be, which has been a theme, frankly, for Jonathan Kuminga's time with the Golden State Warriors. So let's say that he does. He signs this qualifying offer. He comes back to the Golden State Warriors. How does that impact this Warriors' future? Because we also know the timeline that they're working with is the end of Steph Curry's prime, even though he says he's still firmly in it.
Yeah, for Kuminga, the qualifying offer pros and cons are very simple. It's financial. If he gives up the 14-something million, he gets his 2026 next summer unrestricted free agency. For the Warriors, it's more complicated. They'd tell you, hey, look, if he came back on the qualifying offer, they'd still have his bird rights next summer. They'd save probably about 70-ish million in tax, but clearly neither side wants it. The Warriors are putting offers on the table to get him away from the qualifying offer because they need two things this year. They either need Jonathan Kuminga to explode in year 5 and present them with the type of depth at the wing that they really need, or they need him on a tradable number that can go get them the type of depth, because I think we'd all agree they're kind of in the middle mix of the West. They need a little bit more, and to get more, you need Jonathan Kuminga to either be very good for you or tradable for you, and if he's on the qualifying offer, he's probably going to be neither. He has a no-trade clause, and I'm not sure that's going to be the happiest of situations.
Well, we only have a couple of weeks here for the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga to reach an agreement, and we will be checking in with you as that continues to unfold. Slater, I really appreciate the time. Slater mentioned fans and maybe what they're thinking right now about this team. Well, it's September the 12th, and the Warriors, they still have yet to acquire a player with previous NBA experience. They remain the only team in the league that has yet to make a move like this, and this isn't really what we're accustomed to from Golden State. So, Mr. Windhorst, I ask you, how long do you think it's going to take for all of this to play out?
Well, I'm going to just point out that restricted free agent standoffs are as old as the salary cap itself. And I have been around more than 20 years, and I've seen ones drag on into December, into November, into October. It doesn't actually have to be done within 2 weeks. And that's the thing that I think is going to be a part of this. I think at the end of the day, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be on the Warriors. And I think at the end of the day, Al Horford is going to be on the Warriors. And I think DeAnthony Melton is going to be on the Warriors. They are going to add to their bench. The question is he going to be on the team as a filler to just sit on their books until January when he can be traded? Or is he going to be a genuine member of the team? The most important thing, if you look at the two numbers on the bottom of the screen right now, $8 million versus over $20 million that he would be getting. That delta is such a big number that the Warriors are betting that he's not going to want to leave it. Of course, he's going to posture that he will leave it and take the qualifying offer, and it goes back into the stalemate. But I'm sorry to tell you, this could go on for a really long time. There's no rule that says he has to make up his mind at the start of training camp.
So I wonder, let's just say Kuminga does end up signing the one-year qualifying offer. It would essentially make this season a showcase, right? That's what Slater was just saying, for an unrestricted free agency next summer. Perk, you've been in these locker rooms. What does that do? What does that mean for a locker room if that's the path of a player?
Well, it means a lot, and especially when it's going to affect a locker room that's trying to win or have intentions on winning the championship. And I don't know if Jonathan Kuminga is watching NBA today, but they don't want you, dog. They don't value you, because if they did, you wouldn't be going through this. And it started last season. Steve Kerr showed you how he felt about you when you were out the rotation during the play-in tournament in the first couple games in the first round against the Rockets. And I understand Mike Dunleavy is now running things for us in the front office, him and Joe Lacob. But that wasn't Jonathan Kuminga wasn't Mike Dunleavy pick. That was Bob Myers' pick. So again, when you look at this situation, it's going to cause turmoil in the locker room if you bring him back if he at $7.9 million, because he's going to go out there and play individual basketball. And it's hard for me to tell a young guy not to go out there and get his numbers, because I know he wants to get paid. So at the end of the day, you have one guy who's going to be playing agenda basketball. You're going to have a team that's led by 3 vets, probably 3 future Hall of Famers, that's going to be leading their team and preaching agenda-free basketball. So there's the problem.
I don't know how, if you have somebody on television saying, hey, Kuminga, they don't want you as their message. If you're Steve Kerr, how do you coach this situation?
I mean, I think he knows. He has to feel that he was out of the rotation, right? When they don't play you, you don't feel like they want you. But what we have here is a misalignment between the front office and ownership about a player's value to the organization and the coaching staff. And on Steve Kerr's, in his rotations on a team that's trying to win every single year, you got to earn your spot. And it just didn't work out last year when Jimmy Butler joined the team. They just got to a place where they felt like they couldn't have them on the court at the same time. Now, he was big for them when Jimmy Butler was out, but this is going to be one of Steve Kerr's biggest challenges as a head coach. It could have been solved a long time ago if they would have included him in some of the trades they were trying to. They could have got Alex Caruso a couple years ago if ownership and if the front office had been willing to include Kuminga, but they didn't, and so we are here now, and Steve Kerr's going to have a fun time with this one.
And what is the issue for the Golden State Warriors year after year? It's been the non-Steph Curry minutes,
That's
right? When Steph was hurt in the playoffs last year, Jonathan Kuminga, he did step up in a way. We've had this conversation, though, many, many times, and the Warriors haven't seemed to change their stance on the way that they play Kuminga. You can see it right here. Last season, when Steph was not on the floor, Kuminga really did step up. And so now this is going to have to play out with their front office and in their locker room. Coming up level, he is 37 years old. He led the league in three-point shooting last year. Brian, do you believe that Steph can still reach that apex level here?
I do. I think he was fabulous last year. You know, he has been on the All-NBA team 11 straight times when he's been eligible. That one year where he had the injuries, only played 5 games. Other than that, 11 straight years. He's led the league in three-pointers in 4 of the last 5 seasons. He actually had the second best free throw season of his career last year. His physical conditioning is excellent. Okay, he may not be in his prime anymore. No, the Warriors no longer have the best roster in the NBA, which they did throughout a big portion of his career. But I see no reason to believe Steph Curry is going to materially slow down anytime soon. And if I was a Warriors fan, I would be very excited by those comments.
Very excited about those comments. A little concerned about the construction of your team. I think the biggest thing that will help Steph Curry is getting some help. Send the man some help. Now, we know that the big issue going into, I guess, the midway point for the Golden State Warriors was winning the non-Steph Curry minutes. Right. They had Jimmy Butler, and they started winning. Just a little bit of bad luck towards the end of the playoffs. But still, they need to find a third star so that he can really cook. We know Draymond Green's there as a facilitator, but Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and someone. Now, I know the asterisk is around Jonathan Kuminga. That situation, figuring that out, navigating that. But if they're able to find that star and improve, that is where Steph Curry will truly shine. He can do bad all by himself, but we want him to continue to elevate and, play these meaningful games, and so that will take a team effort.
Right, and when you look at the fact that it was Steph Curry who said after he won Finals MVP, Who's that?
Wait.
Who's that?
But I'm saying we already know. We already know about Steph. We already know about Steph. This is not an individual sport. This is not golf. This is not tennis. You need a team, right? And not only do you need the team to help you win the championship, because that's what